وهو العزيز الحكيم. هو الذي أخرج الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب من ديارهم لأول الحشر ما ظننتم أن يخرجوا وظنوا أنهم مانعتهم حصونهم من الله فأتاهم الله من حيث لم يحتسبوا وقذف في قلوبهم الرعب يخربون بيوتهم بأيديهم وأيدي المؤمنين فاعتبروا يا أولي الأبصير. ولولا أن كتب الله عليهم الجلاء لعذبهم في الدنيا ولهم في الآخرة عذاب النار ذلك بأنهم شاقوا الله ورسوله ومن يشاق الله فإن الله شديد العقاب. ما قطعتم من ليلة أو تركتموها قائمة على أصولها فبإذن الله وليخزي الفاسقين. وما أفاء الله على رسوله منهم فما أوجفتم عليه من خيل ولا ركاب ولكن الله يسلط رسله على من يشاء والله على كل شيء قدير. ما أفاء الله على رسوله فلله وللرسول ولذي القربى واليتامى والمساكين وبني السبيل كي لا يكون دولة بين الأغنياء منكم وما آتاكم الرسول فخذوه وما نهاكم عنه فانتهوا واتقوا الله إن الله شديد العقاب. للفقراء المهاجرين الذين أخرجوا من ديارهم وأموالهم يبتغون فضلا من الله ورضوانا وينصرون الله ورسوله أولئك هم الصادقون. والذين تبوأوا الدار والإيمان من قبلهم يحبون من هاجر إليهم ولا يجدون في صدورهم حاجة مما أوتوا ويؤثرون على أنفسهم ولو كان بهم خصاصة ومن يوق شح نفسه فأولئك هم المفلحون. والذين جاءوا من بعدهم يقولون ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. ألم تر إلى الذين نافقوا يقولون لإخوانهم الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب لئن أخرجتم لنخرجن معكم ولا نطيع فيكم أحدا أبدا وإن قوتلتم لننصرنكم والله يشهد إنهم لكاذبون. لئن أخرجوا لا يخرجون معهم ولئن قوتلوا لا ينصرونهم ولئن نصروهم ليولن الأدبار ثم لا ينصرون لأنتم أشد رهبة في صدورهم من الله ذلك بأنهم قوم لا يفقهون. لا يقاتلونكم جميعا إلا في قرى محصنة أو من وراء جدار بأسهم بينهم شديد تحسبهم جميعا وقلوبهم شتى ذلك بأنهم قوم لا يعقلون كمثل الذين من قبلهم قريبا ذاقوا وبال أمرهم ولهم عذاب أليم كمثل الذين من قبلهم قريبا ذاقوا وبال أمرهم ولهم عذاب أليم كمثل الشيطان إذ قال للإنسان اكفر فلما كفر قال إني بريء منك إني أخاف الله رب العالمين فكان عاقبتهما أنهما في النار خالدين فيها وذلك جزاء الظالمين يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون ولا تكونوا كالذين نسوا الله فأنساهم أنفسهم أولئك هم الفاسقون لا يستوي أصحاب النار وأصحاب الجنة أصحاب الجنة هم الفائزون لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم سبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم والذي أخرج
Assalamu alaikum from DC, USA.
Assalamu alaikum from South Africa.
Assalamu alaikum aus Berlin, Deutschland.
Assalamu alaikum from Montreal, Canada.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh from Qatar.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh everyone.
Assalamu alaikum to Canada.
Assalamu alaikum from South Africa.
Assalamu alaikum from Leeds, UK.
Assalamu alaikum from Bristol in the UK.
Assalamu alaikum from Cape Town, South Africa. Assalamu alaikum aus dem schönen Frankfurt.
Assalamu alaikum, I'm Zakaria.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Aisha.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, my name is Rehan from Team Marketing in the UK.
Alaikum from Ireland, my name is Alia.
I'm Intital Fakir from the Cape Town team.
I'm Youssef from the Quebec regional team.
I'm Atia Ganchi from the national team.
And I'm Shakil from the New York team.
I'm Sophia Khan from the DMV team.
Ich bin Khalid vom Berliner Team.
I'm Zainab Zubair Malol from Qatar team.
My name is Haris Hussain from the North team.
My name is Rimsha and I'm part of the Wales and West team.
Je suis joueur de l'équipe support à la participation.
I'm Yahya from the South African national team.
Ich bin Annika und im Hessen-Team und wir heißen euch ganz herzlich willkommen zum Global Assembly.
Welcome to the International
The Charity Meet
Global
Assemble.
and welcome to the International Global Assembly.
Und willkommen zum International Global Assembly.
Welcome to the International Global Assemble.
Welcome to the International Global Assembly.
And welcome to the Global Assembly from Dublin, Ireland.
Bienvenue à l'Assemblée internationale.
And welcome to International Global Assembly.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Iman. I'm from the Charity Week team and I'm here to host this year's International Global Assemble. I think we only need to say one of them, International or Global Assemble. But thank you so much for joining. That is a video that we made a couple years ago, I think in 2020, when Charity Week was mostly virtual, to welcome everyone to our assemble, and it still puts a smile on my face. And alhamdulillah, even though it was 4 years ago, so many of those people in that video are still part of the Charity Week team. So I think once you take part in Charity Week, you don't want to stop. So without further ado, I just wanted to ask everyone where they're joining from in the world. We have had assembles all over the world in Charity Week, and today we're going to be bringing people from all corners of the earth together. So if you can join our Menti, there's the code on screen, and let us know where you're joining from. But as we wait for some of those answers to come in, we'll show you through some of the assembles that we've had throughout the world. We have been in 9 countries this year, alhamdulillah, starting off with, drum roll. Well, we've had our assembles in Canada, in South Africa, and South Africa, mashallah, have already had their Charity Week this year, and it has looked amazing. They have had all sorts of events, and if you head to our Charity Week Instagram, you'll see how well they did, mashallah. Next, we've had assembles in Qatar, and in all over the world, essentially. Here we are in Hamburg, and again, Charity Week was in all the different cities in Hamburg. I know we've got some Germans joining us today, so lovely to hear whereabouts in Germany you're coming from. We've also had assembles in the UK, and this is our Scotland team, and mashallah, Scotland team are amazing, and every year they manage to bring together not only university students but also schools, and they had a fantastic assemble just with schools and colleges taking part in Charity Week. And then also in Ireland. Now, our Ireland team is a pretty new team to Charity Week. They've been taking part for the last 4 years, but mashallah, they have grown so much. And this year, they had their first ever assemble outside of Dublin. So if you attended that Cork assemble, just know you were part of Charity Week history. We also had Charity Week assembles in the US, all over the US. This is the New York assemble, and mashallah, the amount of artistry that went into this event, and also in all the different states around the US. But yes, if you've joined that Menti, please let us know where you're joining from. And I wonder, have we got any responses back yet? Oh, also, sorry, I can't forget our Malaysian team, mashallah. So we have Cologne, Germany, we have Scotland, Glasgow, from Pakistan. Pakistan must be a popular place because it's really big. And Pakistan is our new team to Charity Week this year, so we're so excited you guys are joining us. From Karachi, from Bristol, from Newcastle, I love Newcastle, from Texas, Germany, Frankfurt, mashallah. So from all over. Thank you so much. And yeah, back to our Malaysian team. Our Malaysian team is also one of our baby countries of Charity Week. They're one of our newer countries. And mashallah, every year they do it bigger and bigger and better and better. And just looking through these pictures gave me major FOMO wishing I was there. But thank you so much for joining today. And it's so blessed to be in a gathering with people with Muslims from around the world. And that's what Charity Week aims to do, to bring people together from all corners of the earth. And some of you, it might be your first ever Charity Week assemble, particularly if you're from Pakistan. This is your kind of first year taking part. And a lot of our institutions, our universities in Pakistan are taking part for the very first time. And so what assembles are here for is to motivate us for our upcoming Charity Week taking place in just a couple of weeks now, but also to kind of remind us of why we do this project and what is going to be different about this year. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our first speaker of today. Now, Fatah is a brother from Canada who has been part of the team for as long as I can remember. He knows everything about CW, mashallah, he's a fountain of knowledge. And today he'll be talking us through the theme of this year's Charity Week. So I'll let you take it away, Fatah.
Jazakallah khair, Iman. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. It's beautiful to see all of the different countries and different cities that are represented. And it looks like an amazing variety and diversity. And alhamdulillah, as Iman said, my name is Fatah, and I'll be starting today's talk around the theme reveal. One of the most exciting talks of today. There will be other exciting talks, so stay tuned as well. But Bismillah, Jazakallah khair, everyone, for your time and your patience and for joining us today for this global online assemble. It's now time for one of the most exciting parts of today's assemble, something that many of you have been waiting for, if the theme has not already been revealed to you prematurely. So it's now time to reveal the theme for this year through our talk, What If? And it's titled What If because this is where we ask ourselves, through the lens of a case study, what if XYZ organization or person did Charity Week, and what are the lessons that we can derive from that? And as you see on the screen, there's that question on why. Why is it that we have a theme every year? Why do we have a new theme every year? And the answer is simple. Otherwise, things would be a bit dull, a bit boring, a bit predictable. If we had the same theme each year, our institutions, our volunteers would hear the same speeches and talks every year, the same languages and colors. Alhamdulillah, Charity Week is now in its 21st year. And if we didn't have a little bit of variety, a little bit of color, a little bit of spice, a little bit of masala, if you will, and a different angle from where we wanted to derive lessons around unity from, then things wouldn't be fresh. And it's important for us to keep things fresh so that we can re-energize and re-inspire our teams all around the world to see this vision of unity from many different perspectives. And to be honest with you, this year, we should have had a completely different theme. The speeches and talks were already designed for that original theme. And people were beginning to get trained. Designs related to that original theme were under production. However, since we as an organization preaches unity and seeks to practice unity and wants to feel the pain of the ummah and really have a finger on how the ummah is feeling, then we realized that this original theme was not really hitting. It was not echoing and not reflective of the social environment and what the ummah needed at this time. And so we adapted and came up with a more appropriate theme. And if we move on to the next slide, before we get into the theme reveal, it's important to note that while you're listening to this theme, and while we've had, as Iman was showing, many assembles that we've already had, there still may be people and assembles that have not been held yet. And so please do not share this publicly or online just yet for those who are curious to find out in their own respective assembles. So without further ado, can I please get a virtual drum roll? The theme for this year's Charity Week 2024 is social justice, woo! Otherwise known as Adl. And so you may be looking at this screen, and for those of you who may be familiar with Arabic, you may look at this and say that, well, the translation of Adl is actually justice, right? Or mainstream, it's usually translated as justice. So why do we call it social justice. And simply put, we want to ensure that we're capturing the wider meaning of justice for us as Muslims in Islam. And social justice is actually one of the core values of Islamic belief. And they too translate adl as social justice. And this is an effort to give justice to this word adl. And this is because justice doesn't mean that you're simply referring to justice in the context of laws or punishment or the criminal justice system, right? Justice is more holistic. It is something that is holistic, it is all encompassing, and it has different aspects. And as we learn from the verses and the ayat that were recited earlier, and on this next slide here, we see that Surah Nisa, when it comes to justice, this is a verse that we often recite. And we as Muslims are mandated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be just in all aspects. And this is an ayah that, as you can see on the screen, is even recognized by Harvard University, a very prestigious university in the United States. And it's recognized as one of the foundational principles and definitions of justice. And throughout the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala obligates that we preserve justice in many different scenarios. And being just means that we're not just when it comes to trade or commerce. We are not just when it comes to, following the laws, making sure you cross at the right intersection, and so on and so forth. We are making sure that we are just to humans, to people, to orphans, to the poor, to the needy, to those who are in utter poverty. And we need to ensure that we are just in all circumstances, especially to those types of people that I just listed, those who are marginalized, who are vulnerable in society. We need to ensure that they are receiving care and support in a dignified manner. And being just is a sunnah that our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had taught us. And it is encompassing and holistic because it includes things like treating your parents well, treating your spouses well, treating your children well, treating your neighbors well. It includes all of these different acts. And as Muslims, each and every single one of you should be a shining example and at the forefront of embodying what justice truly means. And as I mentioned earlier, we often have, sometimes we have a case study in addition to our theme. And so to reflect on this topic further, our case study for this year, if we move on to the next slide, will be taking from none other than our dear brother, El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz, otherwise known as Malcolm X. And case studies are again used to derive lessons from, so there will be lessons that we will be deriving from our dear brother, Malcolm X, rahimahullah. And of course, we could have chosen other figures, whether it's Nelson Mandela or other legendary figures, but we thought it's more fitting to provide a more recent example that we can all relate to. So let's talk about what Charity Week would look like if Malcolm X did Charity Week, shall we? Number one is eloquence. And so for those of you who are not familiar with Malcolm X, or maybe even if you are just a little bit familiar with Malcolm X, you would know that he was an excellent orator. He was exceptional. If there's one thing that he mastered, it was the art of speech. He had an impeccable vernacular. And he had the captivating ability to not just transmit words, but to transmit a vision that penetrated the hearts and minds of those listening. He was able to move masses with words. And you can even, and I'm sure many of you have seen some of his clips online. And, where did he develop this from? Some of you may know his history a bit. He was part of the Nation of Islam, which is a sect that originated from the United States. And he was their number one speaker. And this was before he later found Sunni Islam, just to clarify. And he was their number one speaker. And he would attend rallies. He was a captivating speaker. And so they had him as his number one guy. And because of the skill that he possessed, when he later became a threat to the organization and he had differing views, they prevented him from giving speeches, going to rallies. Why? Because this was one of his powerful skills. And this was a skill that he was known for and that he possessed. And this skill didn't just come out of nowhere. As we know from his autobiography, he was imprisoned, and when he was put in prison, he studied the English dictionary. He practiced. He was copying words from the dictionary and trying to understand its meaning and practicing these words. And so the question I have for each and every single one of us, including myself, and that we should ask is, do we give justice to this ability of speaking, this ability to use words, to use this tool that we can leverage at our disposal, this tool that can be used to move hearts and to captivate minds? Do we really give justice to this ability when presenting this vision of unity within Charity Week? And when we look at the life of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was an exceptional speaker, the best of speakers. He was eloquent, he was precise, and people have even memorized various parts of his speeches. And this is why we change things up from year to year when it comes to our theme within Charity Week, the various themes in Charity Week. And it's because we want to see the vision, and we want to explain the vision using words from different angles and different examples. So let's take a further appreciation for the skill of eloquence and being able to use words. And let's use words so that this vision becomes not something high up there that's not tangible, but something that people can grasp and achieve. The next lesson, organization. There's this quote from Malcolm X, and it states that we are not outnumbered, but we are out-organized. And if you kind of pause and reflect on this, subhanAllah, it captures the state that we are in as a Muslim ummah. It is not the case that we lacked quantity. It's not the case that we are outnumbered. We are not outnumbered. We are out-organized. And when we look at the life of Malcolm X, he went he didn't just go from city to city just delivering speeches. He organized communities and he built systems. And to demonstrate this example, as you can see on the screen on your left, when we look at the chaos that is those jumbled, mess of Lego pieces, when we look at our own institutions, our clubs, our MSAs, when we are lacking order and we are not working together, we don't know our roles and responsibilities, it looks like what we see on the left. But when we begin to understand our roles and our various skills, and we start to work together as a group, and we begin to understand our roles and our skills and begin to work together, we look like the right. We're a bit more ordered, everything is kind of put into its rightful place, but there's not necessarily organization. And this is what organization looks like. It looks like a house, as you'll see on this transition on the next slide, a house where there are different roles and where different people are working together and are connected. So in a house, when you look at a house, it has different parts, right? You have you went from order to ordering these different Lego pieces to now all the different pieces fitting together and forming this beautiful foundation, this beautiful building. And in this building, you have a kitchen, you have for cooking, you have a bedroom for sleeping. So you have its different functions and its different roles and responsibilities are clearly understood. And this is true for our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He understood the Sahabas and the Sahabiyats abilities, and he gave everyone roles and he organized them, and they started to work collectively together to spread this message of Islam. And he built a system that lasted up until this very day. So we as an ummah also, in addition to being eloquent, we also need to be organized. And the third lesson is persistence. So on the screen, I kind of maybe have to provide a bit of context. So you see this image on your screen. You see people standing. You see everyone's attention is directed to the front, and that's because at the front you have the coffin of our dear beloved brother Malcolm X, rahimahullah, and in front of the coffin is an imam. You have those who are kind of watching in the back. You also have people who are this is the janazah for Malcolm X. You have people who are praying in the janazah, but you also have people who are just kind of watching. And as you can see, it's actually in a church. It is not in a masjid. This janazah actually took place in a church. And this is the reality of his life. The reality is that he went through many different phases and he had a tough life. He had a tough childhood. His father was killed by the Ku Klux Klan, which is a racist group in the United States. He was imprisoned. Then he went to Hajj. He later found Sunni Islam. He became advocating for unity. And so he had this kind of rough childhood and this journey. And in that process, he found many enemies. And society, because of this, he wasn't able to be granted a typical janazah. He wasn't able to be granted a typical janazah. And so the conclusion in here is that the reality is that when you stand for justice and are persistent, that no matter how hard it is, or how much the resistance is, or how much pressure there is against you, how hard that struggle is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take care of you, like how he took care of Malcolm X. He still had a dignified janazah. And when we move on to the next slide, I wanted to highlight this because this is actually the son of Sheikh Hashim Jabir. This is Sheikh Muhammad Jabir. And this is Sheikh Muhammad Jabir. He is the son of the Imam that you just saw in the last image. That Imam is Sheikh Hashim Jabir, who himself was actually the son of a Christian preach. And Sheikh Muhammad Jabir was someone who was very disciplined. He is someone who joined the military at one point. And because of that, he had gone to work in many different Muslim nations, and he later reverted to Islam. And he became a mainstream Imam at the time. And when he heard about the death of Malcolm X, he didn't doubt his Islam. He knew who Malcolm X was. He knew what he stood for. And because of that, he was compelled to attend his janazah and give him a dignified janazah. And Sheikh Hashim Jabir, knowing the climate that was surrounding Malcolm X, he said his goodbyes to his family because he didn't know if he would come back. And as we see, our brother Malcolm X, he was protected in his death. And it shows that when we are persistent and that when you and me are standing for something, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will protect us. He'll take care of us because he had already started to plant those seeds of protection like he did for Malcolm. And, when we look at our roles within Charity Week, and when we look at those who are in our lives, whether it's family members, for example, who may be doubting how much time we're spending with Charity Week, so they might give you a bit of pressure. When you believe in this vision of unity and in Charity Week and are persistent, then really nothing can hold you back, because when you do that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take care of you. He'll help you. When you do what you can do, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help with what you can't do. Just like how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected and supported our brother Malcolm X. And so in conclusion, there's no better way in my eyes to close this than to share a few words from our beloved brother Malcolm X himself. And so on the next slide, we'll see a quote of his. And this quote reads, "We need more light about each other. Light creates understanding. Understanding creates love. Love creates patience, and patience creates unity." And this is a powerful and beautiful quote. Imagine if we all had the ability, if we all had the knowledge and the wisdom. Imagine we had the knowledge and the wisdom and understanding of our pious predecessors and how they understood the vision of unity. Imagine if we had more people spread the light, and light in this case is knowledge, is understanding. Imagine if we as a people spread the light, then we as an ummah would focus on what's possible. Instead of focusing on the negatives and the plight of the Muslim ummah, we would focus on the possibilities. We would focus on how our teams and our institutions have the ability to spread this beautiful vision of unity, using beautiful speech, doing so in an organized manner, and being persistent. You and us, we have this light, and we can nourish it. And this light gives way for understanding our brothers and sisters, ensuring that we're making excuses for our team members. And I know that we do not need to necessarily, and I know that we sometimes do need to look at the negatives, right? But there are always two sides to a coin. And when you start to look at the positives and what we can achieve as a community as an ummah, and we begin to build understanding, and we work together, and we avoid shaitan's trap, like how he trapped Yusuf alayhi salam's brothers to plotting against him and to conspiring against him. When we work against this shaitanic pressure and we build understanding, then we begin to build love, and we begin wishing for our brothers and sisters what we wish for ourselves. And this will result ultimately in patience. And this process of working together will foster and ultimately, inshallah, by the will of Allah, result in unity. And my brothers and sisters, remember to take these 3 lessons home with you: of eloquence, of organizations, and persistence. We don't just want to build eloquent speakers, but we want to build a vision of brotherhood and sisterhood through building systems by the will of Allah. And once you have these 3 ingredients and embody them, whatever obstacle comes in your way, you can say that together we can, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair, Fatah, mashallah. You said that with such eloquence, and may Allah allow us to all be eloquent, all have organization, and all be persistent in our actions, inshallah. But I think the Charity Week team, mashallah, has really nailed it this year with a vision, something that's been on the forefront of all of our minds with everything that's going on in the world. And Muhammad Arib said something really nice in the chat that reminded me of that quote from Malcolm X, and he said, "Adl is one of the primary concepts needed to understand the things around us." And that's what Charity Week is about. You know, when so much is there to divide us, not just divide different religions, but us as Muslims to divide us. We as Charity Week, our aim is to bring us together, inshallah. And the Charity Week theme is what keeps Charity Week exciting every year. But we all have a question of how can we incorporate the Charity Week theme into our events. And one of my favorite questions every year that always makes me laugh is, how can we put that on a cupcake? Now, you might have to get a bit creative when it comes to that, but I wanted to throw that question out to you guys. So if you can head back over to Menti, and again, if you haven't put the code in, if you can put this code in, so if you go to menti.com and pop the code in, we want to ask you guys, what theme-related event ideas can you think about? And again, this is what keeps Charity Week different every year. If you're at an institution that has taken part in Charity Week for the last 20 years, how is this year going to be different? So we'd love to hear your ideas. This is where we've got to get a little bit creative. Now, the Charity Week team has thought of plenty of ideas as well. And inshallah, I'll be showing you how you can get access to that in a second. But yes, let's get our thinking caps on. So one response is just South Africa. Maybe that's someone from the South African team that just wants to put it out there. But yeah, mashallah. A poetry slam. Yes, I love poetry. I love a poetry slam, but a social justice poetry slam would be amazing. I am in the UK and I used to go to university in London, and one of our universities in London is SOAS, and they are known for their poetry slams. And a couple of years ago, I went to one of their poetry slams and it was incredible. A writing competition, definitely. CW, we love to see a competition. A scale-shaped rocker at events for the balance and imbalance of justice. Yeah, the visual aspect, banners and posters, so kind of raising awareness. Auctions, yes, but how can we make our auctions social justice themed? But yes, a Charity Week wouldn't be a Charity Week without an auction somewhere in the world. Any other ideas? Journalism, writing workshop, yes, definitely, mashallah, that would be amazing. And we have so many talented journalists amongst our Muslim community, and some of them don't get the spotlight they deserve, but inviting them to our institutions to teach us how we can use our words, how we can be more eloquent in our writing. A team climbing event, yes. An info booth about Malcolm X and other visionaries, yes. There are so many Muslim visionaries when it comes to the social justice. And modern theologists, they like to think about, where does social justice originate from? But so much of it comes from Islamic history. Social justice is rooted in who we are as Muslims, and there's so many role models to reflect on and look up to. Arranging campaigning, training for our institutions, volunteers, learning how they can change their communities. Definitely. Book club style day. I would sign up for that. I love a book club. Sign the call for education. Making our audience get to know about Malcolm X. Yes. Islamic webinars. Yeah, incredible. Human chain on the markets. But booth related. Oh yes, and sign the call for education for Palestine, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. So thank you so much for your ideas, guys, and that creativity. And you guys have just thought about these ideas in literally like 2 minutes. So if you give yourself a day, if you've got a bunch of people around the table and put your heads together, you'd be able to think of amazing ideas. But I want to show you something that we as a Charity Week team, we're really proud of, and we really hope that it can help you guys. It is our Charity Week website. So if you go to charityweek.com, and I shall share my screen now, you will get to our Charity Week homepage, and I want to draw your attention to one of the tabs on the top that says Essentials. Now, if you've never hosted a Charity Week before, if Charity Week is new, or you've hosted one before but you just need some new ideas, the Charity Week Essentials page is an amazing place for some inspiration, and it has everything you need. Okay, how to build a team. So this is really about how to organize yourselves as universities, colleges, community groups, how to plan your Charity Week event, and then all the resources that you may need. Now, if there's anything on there that you think you need and you can't find, which might be quite difficult considering how much we've got on there, then you can always reach out to the Charity Week team, and there's something that we can help you with. But I'll go first to planning your Charity Week events. And here, CW related events ideas, our team this year have thought of a bunch of ideas for events. And there's some really interesting ones here. So some setting up stores on campus with provoking artworks, so an artwork exhibition, having a book swap, a Tatriz or calligraphy night, talking about social justice through pins, artwork, stickers. So a lot of the things that you guys said, but there's a bunch of ideas on here. And also there's some event plans, and I was looking through these before, and they are amazing. So whatever event you want, we have a bunch of different event plans here. So I'll take you to the quiz and game show one, and it literally tells you step by step everything that you need to know to hold this event. There are things that you wouldn't have even thought of in a million years, and it's written down here. So if you are struggling for ideas, or you're struggling to know how to organize yourself, definitely check out the CW Essentials page. And if we go back to our homepage, you'll come to our front screen, and I wanted to talk a little bit today about our pledge for Palestine. This is something that we are really excited for in CW this year, something that's a little bit different for us. And we know that Charity Week, a big part of Charity Week is fundraising. It's not everything that we do, but it's a big part of what we do. But this year we have a new pledge for Palestine, which is we will be, inshallah, donating $1 million of what we raise, inshallah, towards Palestine, which we'd managed to do last year, and we're hoping through the will of Allah we'll be able to do again this year. But also we have a call to unity, and this is a campaign that we are running as a Charity Week team, that we want everyone to get involved in. And this is our campaign to call on educational institutions to help provide full scholarships for Gazan students, financial support to rebuild the education infrastructure for Gaza, and also support for logistic and staff support to overcome the impact of murdered personnel. Now, at the moment in Gaza, there's so many emergency campaigns for food, for water, which are so important. And education is one of the projects that we are so passionate about in Charity Week. And this is a campaign to really rebuild all that they've lost. And so by heading to the Charity Week website and clicking here is more about how you can get involved and how your university, your student group, your community group can get involved in lobbying for these things. But yes, there's so much that we can gain from this website. So do check it out. And like I said, if there's something on there that is missing, always send us a message, send us an email, a DM on Instagram, and we can help you guys out, inshallah. But next up, we are going to be talking a little bit about one of my favorite parts of this project. It is the Charity Week projects. Now, the Charity Week projects are so well thought out, mashallah. They amaze me every year with how much we can do when we pool our effort together. And for that, I'm going to be introducing Muhammad, who is one of our brothers from Germany, who again has been on the team for as long as I can remember. And he's going to be talking us through the projects, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair for the introduction, Iman. I hope you can hear me.
all? Yes, looks like it. Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Inshallah, with this talk, we'll be diving into the projects of Charity Week and answering the question, why our projects are socially just. Now, you might be asking yourselves, why do we even have to answer this question? I mean, surely our projects are socially just, right? So this talk aims to give us a better understanding of what social justice means and also highlight its different layers. So inshallah, let's... before we dive into the topic, I'd first like to do a quick recap. Let's travel back in time to 2023, our legendary anniversary year, our 20th anniversary, where we raised more than 3 million euros, or 2.7 million pounds. And what an unforgettable evening it was, subhanAllah, with brothers and sisters around the world, raising this amazing total. And as amazing and impressive as this total sounds, this ultimately was a testimony to all of you that united last year. All of you who set aside their differences, put their energy and time together in order to conduct these events. And it was just a few weeks before Charity Week when October 7th happened. SubhanAllah. And we all felt the helplessness, and we saw the tragedies on our screens. And maybe this was also a motivating factor for us to try even harder as Charity Weekers, because what else is there to do other than to unite and make dua, right? So we did that. We got together, tried our best, and had our personal highlight, alhamdulillah. And we even pre-committed more than 1 million euros to Palestine. Before Charity Week even began, we said that we want to set aside this total to build up, to do our best, to respond to all of the tragedies that unfolded upon our brothers and sisters. Now, what happened with these 1 million euros, you might wonder? I mean, it's easy to just mention these numbers and talk about it as if it's nothing. But I want to show you actually what we did with it. As you know, we have Islamic relief staff on the ground in Palestine, in Gaza, who are from there. There's a huge difference. They are from there, and therefore it's easier for them to provide the help. They don't need permits like maybe other organizations. They are based there and can process our funds immediately. And so that's what they did. So let's see for ourselves, inshallah, what has happened and what we were able to provide.
For months, the Palestinian people of Gaza have endured an unparalleled humanitarian catastrophe, one of the worst to ever unfold in the occupied Palestinian territories. The collective punishment of all 2.2 million people has resulted in over 35,000 tragic deaths, the decimation of homes and almost all infrastructure across the Gaza Strip, including hospitals, water, electricity supplies, and more. With over 79,000 people currently trapped and injured in Gaza, the death toll is expected to continue climbing. For 20 years, Charity Week has raised outstanding amounts to help support life-saving and life-changing projects across 35 countries, 19 projects of those being funded in Palestine alone. Last October was no different. You raised an incredible £2.7 million during Charity Week, with £1.1 million going to Palestine. These funds were needed more than ever to help the people of Gaza in their time of unbelievable crisis. Since the escalation began, Islamic relief teams have been on the ground, responding, providing immediate food, medical and shelter assistance, and this has only been possible because of the dedication you showed throughout Charity Week. Your support proved critical when our team had to access our stocked and prepared warehouses on the ground and mobilize quickly to deliver millions of essential items to people in the Gaza Strip under heavy and indiscriminate bombardment. Since October, together with our partners on the ground, including the UN World Food Programme, our heroic team in Gaza have been working tirelessly to deliver over 10 million hot meals, over 1 million fresh vegetables, over 915,000 ready-to-eat foods, and much, much more to those in need in Gaza. Our team has also distributed nearly 2.3 million medical items to support hospitals and health facilities, as well as clean and safe drinking water to a staggering over 930,000 people, hygiene and dignity kits to over 260,000 people, and essential items like blankets, mattresses and clothing to over 27,000 families. Because of you, Islamic Relief is still able to support families with our orphan sponsorship program by allowing them to withdraw funds from Islamic Relief using ATM cards. Since the crisis began, you have sponsored an incredible 8,700 orphans with essentials for them and their families. During this unprecedented time for children growing up in the Gaza Strip, you are also helping to care for over 70,000 children through psychosocial support sessions, which include games, entertainment and activities to help young children cope with the daily trauma caused by the ongoing war. None of this would be possible without the years of dedication and support you have shown for the people of Palestine. The people of Gaza have felt your every effort to raise and generously donate funds that have, during this terrible time, saved lives. In the face of such turmoil and difficulty being experienced around the world right now, the unity behind Charity Week is a force for such good, and it is making a difference to the lives of others, and it is to the people of Gaza. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to every single one of you who contributes in any way to the Charity Week movement, and pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses you all and enables us to continue to benefit the people of Gaza. Ameen. Thank you.
SubhanAllah, no matter how many times I watch this video, I get goosebumps every time. And may Allah make it easy for our brothers and sisters in Palestine and around the world. May Allah reward them abundantly for their struggles and use us as tools to help them. Ameen. So this leads us to the topic of this talk, inshallah, social justice. So the first question I'd like to ask is, what does it mean to give charity with justice? It sounds very simple in theory, right? Someone is in need of something. I, for example, have the means or the tools to provide that help to someone, and I give it, and then therefore you have justice served, right? But where's the balance in this, and what does it actually mean? Is there more to this definition? So one of the definitions that we've come up with is justice means helping those in the headlights and those who are not. So it is no surprise that currently the headlines are being dominated by Palestine and Lebanon, and rightly so. This is very needed, this is very current, and this is subhanAllah, a tragedy that is happening at the moment as we speak. But what about Sudan? I'm asking you. When was the last time you thought about Sudan? Honest answer. Did you know that Sudan is facing the world's biggest crisis at the moment? A malnutrition crisis like no other, with 8 million people in hunger and in need. And what makes this even worse is this whole crisis is man-made. There is a political conflict going on in Sudan that's tearing the country apart. They actually have the food, the resources, but they have no money and they can't work because it's too violent. So it's a bizarre situation. They have no access to the resources they have. And among those 8 million people who are facing severe hunger, there is a 50,000 people that is in extreme malnutrition. Now, this is a difference. Now we're talking about children like these on the picture here that have to be fed via tubes. This is how they start their life. This is how life starts for them before learning the ability to walk and to talk. This is their reality. And before the war, this was zero. This number was zero. Sudan is not the richest country, surely, but they had what they needed. But the conflict, the situation they're in right now, makes it so tragical. Imagine you have what you need, but it's far away, you can't reach it. SubhanAllah. I'm asking you, what about Yemen? what about Yemen? Yemen is a bit different because Yemen was on the news. Yemen, we are used to hearing Yemen in the headlines, but now it's not. So I'm asking you, did the problems there magically disappear? Are the people there like all of a sudden not hungry anymore? Are they safe? Is everything okay in Yemen? Of course not. But the cameras are not there anymore, and therefore it's not present in our minds anymore. Because the cameras and the media dictates who we think about. Once the cameras are gone there, so it disappears in our minds. How sad. Kenya. You might be surprised. Why Kenya? Kenya is usually not on the list of poorest countries and crisis-facing countries. I thought the same. As a matter of fact, as a country, they are okay. They are not doing too bad. But the people there are poor. Why are they poor? 2 words. Climate change. Last year, there were 3 to 4 failed rain cycles. And that is a devastating fact for a country like Kenya. So what does that mean? An extreme drought period, leading to no food, no resources for the people. And if that wasn't enough, after this extreme period of drought, there was severe flooding in Kenya. Now you might think, okay, so we have the drought, and now there's the flood, so okay, that makes it even, right? That kind of pans it out. No. The ground dried out completely. Of course, it's not able to absorb all the floods. And you have a situation like this on the picture. People walking through floods, their whole possessions destroyed, not usable anymore, leaving nothing. And there's one line that always kind of repeats in my head. People there, they say they prefer the droughts. Why? Because at least they could, in the droughts, walk around and find water. But with the floods everywhere, everything's contaminated. And there's no perspective at all, really. SubhanAllah. And you might be thinking, okay, yeah, Kenya, okay, they're having this, they're facing this, SubhanAllah. But climate change, we are all partially responsible for this. They pay the price for our lavish lifestyles, in a sense, if you think about it. Because they have their rain periods and they have their, hotter periods, but it evens out. They were doing okay. But no, not anymore. Justice means helping those in the headlines and those who are not. And we have to help all the people that are in need. Doesn't matter if the cameras are there or if the cameras are not. And this, brothers and sisters, leads us to our next prompt. Justice means helping before a disaster and after the cameras leave. What does that mean? When the cameras are not there, we tend to forget. We understand that, right? For example, there was Islamic Relief was planning a fundraising dinner for Yemen a while ago, and they invited some guests, and were planning the whole event, but not many people turned up. Why? Because at that time, Yemen was not on the news. People were not sensitized for Yemen. It was just in the back of their mind, so therefore they thought maybe, yeah, it's not that much needed. I don't have to go, I don't have to do it. But then a popular news channel in the UK, they did a documentary about Yemen. And all of a sudden, people were aware again. All of a sudden, they remembered, oh yeah, Yemen, surely there's a crisis there. Let me help. How strange. Like, then we all of a sudden remember, then we all of a sudden care about these people. But you know what? In Charity Week, we've been doing things a bit differently for more than 20 years. Because we've always been around, whether cameras were there or not. Whether it be Bosnia, Syria, Indonesia, Palestine, and all these countries. We're not dependent on headlines or the cameras. Please see for yourselves. You can scan the codes and go to our Projects Unwrapped page to see for yourselves. I could be talking all day, but see for yourselves what projects we funded, what we did with the funds that we raised, what countries we've helped. It's not just a limited amount. No, we try to be everywhere where help is needed. See it, read it, have an understanding of what your unity can result in. This is amazing. This is, subhanAllah, this is all that we've all worked towards. And by doing this, what do? We say, our sadaqah does not depend on the cameras. We reclaim this power and donate everywhere where donations are needed. Justice means giving others what you want for yourself. And a good example for that is Qurbani. I'm asking you, brothers and sisters, imagine you are father or mother of a family of 5 children. Which animal would you want for your kids? Which animal would you choose to sustain your family, to feed your kids or the poor and the needy? Be honest. Of course, you would pick the right one, right? With enough meat to feed and sustain your family. So what does this teach us? We should give in a way the same way we would like to receive help. We should not just give for the sake of giving, for the sake of getting the attention and, compliments of others. No, give in a way that you would also like to receive help if you are in need. And there's many traditions about this, hadith about this. Love for your brother what you love for yourself. It's even an important pillar in our deen, right? Moving on. Justice means giving aid equitably, not randomly. I'll show you a picture now. Please let this picture sink in for a few moments. Who remembers this? It kind of looks like a shot from a dystopian science fiction movie, doesn't it? With all the parachutes and people walking towards it, destruction and devastation in the background. I'm afraid that this is just a few months old. This is from Palestine. This is reality. This is supposedly help that is being shown, that is being given to the people there. Help in form of parachutes, sometimes landing in the sea, sometimes landing on people, injuring and harming them, or worse, sometimes landing on ruins that people can't even reach. I'm asking you, how good is help when help harms people? How good is help when help is not even reachable? How good is help if the children, the elderly, the disabled can't even go and reach it? I'm asking you, is this what help looks like? Surely they will say, yeah, we've helped. But how? Is this the help you're talking about? So how do we help equitably? Let me give you an example, a beautiful example of how Islamic Relief does it. There's a whole system of giving out help, of coordination of help. There's a point system that Islamic Relief uses, which considers whether, for example, you are an orphan or widow and therefore are on a higher priority list. And you can then go and pick up your food. It's not being handed out to you. This is the whole power dynamic if you think about it. You can go and pick up your food yourself rather than being on the receiving end and having to take it from someone else. And this is like, every circumstance being considered here. This is what giving help equitably means. They don't have to walk over fallen bodies and climb on ruins in order to get what they need. They don't have to jump into the water and potentially drown in order to get what they need. Their dignity is respected and protected. This is what giving help equitably looks like. Justice means avoiding voluntarism. Now, what is voluntarism? For those of you who are not familiar with the term, there's a difference between volunteering and voluntarism. Volunteering is what we do for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and voluntarism is thinking that you have the right to see where your projects or your funds or your donations go to see for yourself with your own eyes. It's just like, imagine you donate €5 or £4, dollars, whatever, to someone. Okay, you see someone in need, you go to them, you give them €5 here, and you say with a smile, right? Like, here, that's €5. Bismillah. The person takes it greatly, very, thank you, gratefully. And then you're like, okay, like, can I watch you eat the sandwich I just bought you? I want to watch you. I want to sit in front of you and watch you eat it. How bizarre. How bizarre that we feel the need to see it with our own eyes, How bizarre that there's such a need, not even considering the feelings of the person we just helped. Just like animals in a zoo, right? What about their haq? What about their dignity? No one thinks about that. Even though this is ingrained in our religion, we say there's rewards in remaining anonymous when we donate. Despite that, we still so influenced by the attention we would get or the image we would create. We should give for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In our deen, it says one hand should not know what the other one is giving. And this is also something I believe with social media. You see this a lot. People just, going and helping people for alhamdulillah, if their niyyah is pure. That's absolutely fine, right? But then you see them like trying to get the perfect shot, trying to make the children smile, and like just bizarre. It's just bizarre. Like, why? What are you there for? You don't even have the knowledge or the experience. You don't even know about the logistics on site. You don't know the country. You don't know how the charity operates. You're just there and hindering people. Just strange. It's very strange. And I'm honest, I'm guilty of that. I used to, my first years of volunteering, I used to be like that. I used to think, oh yeah, I really want to go and see. But now, subhanAllah, why? Like, are my intentions actually really pure? This is what we should ask ourselves all the time. Justice means uniting to help more people. And the example I'd like to give here is, we've heard it before, a very good one, I believe. When we donated 1 million euros for Palestine. When we understood that there's an exceptional need. And we, before charity even started, we said, no, we want to pre-commit. We don't have the funds, but we want to try our best to make this happen. But there are many, many more examples for that. This is just an overview of all the different countries we've supported. And alhamdulillah, we were only able to support these countries because Muslims keep giving and giving and giving and giving. It is in our nature, alhamdulillah. One of our favorite examples here is a project funded in Mali. In Mali, we donated 500,000 euros for a maternity center. And the money was used not only for a maternity center, but also schools and wells. And it was a whole development project trying to uplift the lifestyle and life of people there in general. No one could have done that by themselves, right? Like 500,000 euros. It's a massive amount, but alhamdulillah, we united, we got together, we managed to change the lives of the people there. And now, imagine, before the children in Mali used to raise their hands to ask for something that they're in need in. Now they can raise their hands in classes, in school, and participate in the lessons. What a beautiful, beautiful thing to think about, right? This whole concept is not new to us. This is not unknown to us. In the final sermon, the final speech of our Prophet ﷺ, this was exactly said to us. It was all about social justice, if you think about it. I don't need to read the whole thing, but just read it for yourselves. You know, every Muslim is a brother to every Muslim, and we are all one brotherhood. There are so many traditions that talk about this. If you think about it, if one part of the body is hurting, so does the entire body. Our deen emphasizes on this beautifully. And it doesn't matter what our skin color is, it doesn't matter what our ethnicity is. I mean, we prove it just by being here, right? We have people from Pakistan, we have people from Germany, all around the world. It's a beautiful example for that. So to sum up, to get to an end, it is our responsibility to give help fairly, equitably, and with dignity. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair, Mohammed. Really appreciate that. And, you know, I think at the end of every year where we raise the money for the projects, we need to remind ourselves that we can't just pat ourselves on the shoulder and say that we've done a good job, because the work doesn't end. And subhanAllah, there's so much suffering all around our ummah, not just in certain countries, but all around our ummah. And that's why we have to stay united. That's why we have to keep on pushing. But, you know, something that I love about the projects, mashallah, and something that as you learn more about the projects, you can appreciate more, is that they are so expertly designed. Okay. And no, it's not any Tom, Dick, and Harry can design a project and implement it. But mashallah, the expertise that Islamic Relief have in understanding the need of communities and understanding how to set up sustainable projects that don't just, you know, benefit a group of people, but benefit everyone and can keep serving that community for years to come, mashallah, is amazing to see. And it's, you know, it motivates you all that bit more to just keep on going. But I want to hand over to one of our kind of project gurus, if you like, who has been working on the projects team for the last couple of years and knows everything about the projects. I'm sure he's probably like a project CW projects A to Z encyclopedia. But I'll be handing over to Brother Zach from the international team.
Jazakallah khair, Iman. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Zakaria, and as Iman mentioned, I'm part of the international team and I have been involved with projects over the last few years. As Muhammad beautifully portrayed, you know, this theme this year of social justice is not simply a theme, but it's actually part and parcel of the projects that we have and the projects work that we do. So rather than just simply telling you what are the projects for Charity 2024, you know, listing a long list of countries and names, what I want to do is share the information for those projects little by little so that you can really understand what they are, why they are the projects for this year, and hopefully go on to share it with your family, your friends, and all of those in your institutions so that they, inshallah, take that time and support with the project too. For the next few slides, we're going to be using Menti again. So if you've utilized it earlier today, it should be still there on your phone. If not, if you head over to menti.com and type in the pin, hopefully you'll be able to kind of partake with the next few slides as well, inshallah. We'll be going through the project slides very quickly, And then after that, we'll be coming towards the end of the event with our kind of main stage flagship vision talk. So make sure to kind of stay tuned for that, inshallah. So hopefully if you're on Menti, you'll be able to kind of go through, if you had to make a decision, which of these projects would you be choosing? So hopefully I can see your kind of responses coming through. That's amazing, inshallah. It looks like probably had just the 1-2 individuals. So if anyone else wants to kind of come in and vote, what would they want to do? So you can see education taking a little bit more of a forefront, beyond, before I've managed to say it, emergency coming back up. So the categories, as people come in, as people are sharing their views, are changing throughout. And bear that in mind, because we're going to come back to that a little later on. I want you to share with me how much over the last 20 years has charity supported in Palestine. So you'll be a single digit number, but I want you to share in the order of millions. And the reason I'm putting this forward is when things come up in the news, as Muhammad mentioned, people say, we want to support that cause. We want to do that cause because that's what we're hearing about. And what I want to tell you is just over £4.18 million out of the 17 million raised over the last 20 years has gone towards Palestine specifically. And what that means is our commitment to Palestine is not there just when the cameras are there, and is not there when the cameras aren't, but is there throughout. Over the last 20 years, we have spent over £4.18 million in Palestine out of a total of 17 raised globally. So now we'll keep moving forward through our next question. And this one is a little bit of a quiz question. So we've got some right answers as well as wrong answers. How much has charity pledged for Gaza in Palestine this year? And hopefully you all get the right answer, because I know this answer has been shared or told to you by a lot of our speakers today. So we'll see, hopefully, if you all get it right. MashaAllah, most of you have that. The pledge for Palestine, for Gaza specifically this year, is that hope, inshallah, God willing, if we raise the amount that we need to, then over $1 million will go towards Gaza. So far, we have supported with over 4 million in the years that have gone by. And this year, moving forward, we want to support with more than $1 million, inshallah. So that's the first thing, that our work this year includes Gaza, Palestine, and the work that we want to do there is ongoing, continuing to help with the hot meals, continuing to provide psychosocial care to those children. As young adults, as older adults, we've got a mixed room here. When we see what's going on in Palestine, we are left traumatized. We may struggle to continue on with our day, and this is whilst we are thousands of miles away. Imagine yourself as a child, as a 5-year-old in the midst of that genocide. How would you be feeling? So alongside the food, alongside the safety and the security and the shelter, we also are thinking holistically and providing psychosocial support to those very children. So that's one of the projects this year. But I ask you this question, and I put forward to you this question. Name me a country. Name me a country that embodies this aspect. Which country has a hunger crisis and inadequate sanitation? Just name me a country. What comes to mind? And whilst you're doing that, what I want to share is that the project categories for this year are emergency, education, supporting or empowering children, and empowering communities. So we have various categories of projects. And for our emergency projects, it is not just Palestine. That is why I am asking this very question. So we can see, mashallah, you all here are in tune to what's going on around the world, because when I ask you where the hunger crisis and inadequate sanitation is, the only answer on the screen is not Palestine. There are numerous other countries being named. And so, henceforth, the emergency projects for this year is Palestine, Gaza, over $1 million pledged, but also Sudan, also Bangladesh, and also Lebanon, with the current escalation that happened just a matter of weeks ago. We will be, inshallah, supporting with the help of Islamic Relief in Lebanon too. So what that means is our emergency projects are not just one country, not just the countries in the limelight on the news, but those also without. And we know the situation of Sudan. If we didn't, we have learnt today. We know about the political crisis, and that it is one of the largest, if not the largest, crises in the world today. So those are the emergency projects. Now moving forward to education. Tell me, how many primary age school children globally do not attend school? So these are children aged from the age of 4 all the way to the age of 11. How many globally are not attending school? Because we know that if the child is not educated at a young age, how, when they are an adult, will they be able to function in society, be able to provide for themselves? So 58 million children globally are not in education and not attending school. So their chances of being able to raise money to provide for their family, to be able to engage with the services of their local government, etc., are non-existent, because they are not having an education at the very start. So the next question I put forward is, in rural areas, how many children can there be per teacher? So within a school, so for those that are in a school being educated, what is the maximum number of children that there could be per single teacher in a rural area? 200. As reported by a leading charity that focuses on education, they have said in rural areas, there can be upwards of 200 children per teacher. So if we take into consideration that there are 58 million children not in education, and then for those that live in rural areas, they may have one teacher amongst 200 of them. That just gives us an idea of the educational gap and the education that might be received. So then I flip it back to you. If we want to improve education, what are the barriers that may hinder those children receiving education? So hopefully I'll give you a second to begin putting some responses through. Have a think. For the children, if there's a school, what might be hindering them accessing education? What might be stopping them? It may be a difficult question. No books, discrimination, female hygiene, governments, travel. Alhamdulillah. And this is why I'm actually so proud to have you all here attending today, and so proud that you are part of charity, because when you're thinking about these humanitarian matters, you're thinking with an open view. When it comes to education, we know that it's not one single area that stops people accessing, and you rightly have said that. Many people, when we come back to volunteerism, or we come back to the individual that's donating the money, they may say, I want to build a school, I want my name on the front door. So I will donate 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, and I will build that school for you. There may be a neighboring school next door, but they want to do that, so they will build a school. Will that improve education? It's hard to say. What we do is this year in Charity Week, when we are supporting education in all of the countries named on your screen, we are looking at what is the barrier to education and how can we help. Someone said travel. In Sri Lanka, there are schools, but the children cannot access the school due to the duration or the distance. So if you simply provide them a pedal bicycle, all of a sudden they can access school every single day. In South Africa, there are schools, but their school may lack sanitation facilities, a toilet with running water. What does that mean? As a female ages, as they approach puberty, as they begin having their menses, if there's no sanitation facilities, how can they attend school? Put in the toilets, put in the sanitation facilities, put in the running water, all of a sudden, despite their menses, they may still be able to attend school because of that. Do you see how every single one of these education projects is not simply building a school, it's looking at what is the gap, what is the barrier, and addressing that. So inshallah, in all of these countries, in Kenya, in Malaysia, in Rwanda, in South Africa, Sri Lanka, and Turkey, we will be improving the education of children tailored to their needs. So we've spoken about emergency projects, we've spoken about education, and all of the things here are different areas that, as I mentioned earlier, we'll be addressing through our education projects. And a lot of these aspects that I'm sharing here aren't just simply niceties, and I think you have the option to vote, which one is the most important, but these are human rights of children. Having the ability to relax and play is a human right for a child. Being safe from violence is a human right for a child. Having an education is not a nicety, it is a human right for a child. So what that means is, if we truly, as Charity want to help orphans and children in need globally, no matter their ethnicity, no matter their religion, no matter their skin color, then we need to address this in a holistic way. And that is why our other categories for Charity 2024 is empowering children and empowering communities, because we know if we address these different areas, we ultimately will uplift the life of those children in those communities and allow them to grow, develop, and inshallah be self-sustaining one day moving forward. So that is why our empowering communities are building safe homes in Albania, empowering families in Iraq to have their own businesses so they can provide for their own children. In Jordan, looking at the Syrian refugees from last year and the year before and providing shelter for them. In Philippines, supporting the women and children from the underprivileged communities. And in Somalia, providing food, water, and livelihood for those communities so they can provide. So these projects might be supporting adults, might be supporting the parents, but ultimately it's supporting the children. And lastly, we'll be supporting children by providing ongoing orphan sponsorship, as well as providing and supporting a leading cancer hospital in the UK with pediatric cancer care. So our 4 areas are emergency, not in one area, but in multiple areas. We're talking about education, and then empowering communities and empowering children. So if I ask you that very same question that I asked you earlier, which child are you going to choose? And for the sake of time, I hope that you don't want to choose one project or one area, that you want to choose them all, because you recognize that we shouldn't be needing to decide, that we shouldn't be needing to choose one child over another. Don't choose. Because if we united, we can. And united, we can support all of the projects, inshallah. The information is on the project's website. It's on our main website, charity.com. So please have a look through. If you have any further questions, we're always open to speaking to you, to answering your questions. And Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair, Zach. Really appreciate that. And again, a big plug again for the website. If you go on there, one of our tabs is projects, where you can learn so much about all the projects that we are funding this year. And if you are taking part in CW, I think that's so important to know where the money is going, so that you can tell people who are donating to your pages or taking part in your events, and inshallah they're inspired by our projects too and wish to take part. So we're almost at the end now with our very last speech, but before that, if you guys could leave a comment, what are you excited about for Charity Week this year? MashaAllah, I've loved all the comments so far. I've been reading them. Pakistan have really turned up today, so shout out to Pakistan. I'm so excited to see what you guys come up with. So let us know in the comments, what are you looking forward to this year with your Charity Week? But we've talked today about our amazing projects, which give us a goal in CW, something to aim towards. And we talked about our theme, what keeps Charity Week interesting every year. But next up, we have the most important topic in CW. This is the reason that all of us take part in CW. This is the reason why we have people who have taken part for 20 years and come back every single year with passion and excitement. And for this last part, I want to hand over to our International Charity Week Director, Alev, for the vision of CW.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. Subhanallah, I wish I could see all of you, personally, not just numbers. Inshallah, for another time. Alhamdulillah for all the people in this room, every single one of you. Alhamdulillah for being able to witness so many people coming together across the world, and so many institutions, more than 960 institutions coming together to help the Ummah out of their misery, out of our dark times, inshallah. And as Imam said, the single most important reason that brought us all together, our vision of unity, our main driver and inspiration, is what we want to talk about now as a final point. So please stick around and listen to these words with an open heart. Because if there's anything you should take away from this day, then it's this, the vision of unity. Now, I want to show you a video. It's an emotional interview and doesn't contain disturbing images. But if you'd rather not see distressing content, please close your eyes. But this is important. We need to see this and to feel this to do what we must do, inshallah.
وخال أحمد وأخويا وأمي الصاروخ هو أركان بقى جنب أمي. لما نزل الصاروخ أركان عبط أمي والصاروخ نزل في حضني. أنا وأختي وأخوي. أبوي قال هاي قلت أروح أجيب لك من دارنا طحين. راح أبوي وطول. أول مرة هو يطول، هو وابن عمي وعمي راحوا لهم قصفوا البرج عليه. لهي أمي صارت تعيط تقول لهم ثاني يوم جابوهم لهم دفنوهم وخلص هان في المدرسة.
جبنا أبوي تاني يوم
الله بستاق علينا جبناه مش قادرين نوديه على المقبرة وقصف ودنيا وحياة صعبة مش قادرين بنروح بتقطع بزيادة واحنا بنتقطع دفناه في المدرسة زي الناس غير في الشوارع دودوا كلوم البسس والكلاب مش عارف احنا والله ما يعيش يعني.
WC, NSF. From all the recent inventions, from all the recent buzzwords like ChatGPT or AI, among all these inventions, this is what we've got. This is the newest invention unique to our Ummah. Wounded child, no surviving family. When I first heard that term, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't accept it. I thought, how can this be? How can they have no surviving family? We are here. We'll be there for them. We will care for them. But the reality is no one can truly replace their families. Now, they are indeed wounded children without a surviving family. Not a single one left. How can this be in the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Look at this image. At the bottom, you see a screenshot from a project video. It's in the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza. We had funded the whole neonatal unit of the Al-Shifa hospital with ICUs. We had funded life-saving equipment for newborns in Gaza. We've been so proud. I remember the time when I saw this video first, when it was revealed. We've been so grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for being able to fund such an amazing project. And how grateful the mother was in the video, thanking you and me for saving her child by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And now, at the right top, you'll see not only what the unit looks like today, but what the whole hospital looks like. The whole hospital is destroyed. It's destroyed. You can't find anything there. Forget about the incubators. Who knows what happened to the children? What happened to the staff? My brothers and sisters, we have to admit that no matter how much we pledge to Palestine, it won't change anything. Just pledging 1 million to Gaza, just doing a fundraising activity won't solve our problems, because our gap is not a lack of money. You see how easily the help we provide can be destroyed. This is the reality, my brothers and sisters. We can raise and raise and raise as much as we want. If we don't unite, we won't be able to change anything. If we unite, we can bring about real change. And I know this makes us hopeless. But despite the desperate situation, we're not allowed to lose hope. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows us that change always comes. Just look back and reflect on the history when the situation of the Ummah was as hopeless. When, for example, not more than 200 years ago, our brothers and sisters from African countries, women, children, elderly, were treated as animals, were enslaved, entire generations wiped out, history destroyed. Yet, just 100 years later, you'll see an entirely different trajectory in history. Thanks to great leaders such as Mandela or Malcolm X who drove change. Through eloquence, through organization, through persistence. And the situation now is not perfect. It's not even close to perfect. But it's radically different than what it had been in the darkest times just 200 years ago. So we should take lessons from that and ask ourselves, what made those two leaders great men? What enabled them to bring change? And the answer is simple. They sacrificed. They sacrificed their time. They sacrificed their comfort. They sacrificed their freedom for people, for society, for justice. Because they knew that without sacrifice, there is no gain. There is no justice. Without sacrifice, there is no change. So if we talk about unity of the Ummah, if we talk about unity being the solution to our problems, do we think that unity comes without sacrifice? Forget about unity for one moment. Think about Islam. Think about the change that saved us all. Think about our predecessors. Think about our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How much he sacrificed since the beginning of prophethood. He didn't take a single day for vacation. He didn't take a single day of leisure. He didn't take anything of that kind. Just so Islam reached us. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What about us? Look at this picture. It's like the perfect world, completely in contrast to what our brothers and sisters in Gaza are going through now. This is our reality. We sleep and wake up when we want. We take a shower when we want. We eat more than we can, or we deny food. We have water in abundance. We go to work. We watch TV. We have the privilege to turn off the news. What great luxury we're in. While great leaders in our history sacrificed their comfort and their freedom, while our predecessors, our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, lived a life full of sacrifice just for you and me, I'm asking you, are you willing to sacrifice for His Ummah? Are we willing to sacrifice our time, our sleep, our money, our friendships? And these are the easy things. We share a tweet, we cry, we say a prayer, we even donate. We are ready to do everything for them. But they say it's easier to conquer a country than to conquer one's ego. Are we willing to sacrifice our ego, to put aside our differences and unite despite different ethnicities, despite different ages, despite different viewpoints? We need to sacrifice our ego. And if you're not willing to do that, then put the word unity out of your vocabulary. Because the one thing our brothers and sisters desperately need from us is our unity. That is what Charity Week is about. If there is one thing to take home from today. It's that we need to sacrifice for the vision of unity. My brothers and sisters, we need to sacrifice everything that gives us a reason to divide, including our ego. And you're already sacrificing, or you wouldn't be here, right? So remember, the next time you go the extra mile, sacrificing your time, your youth, your sleep, the comfort of home, working tirelessly, running after people in the cold, selling cakes, remaining patient when wronged, working in the background, silence. Whatever it is that drains your energy, remember that you are sacrificing all of this to unite the Ummah. Remember this and never forget. You are not here just to raise money, but to raise the Ummah. You are not here just to build a clinic or a school, but to build unity. You are not here just to talk about unity, but to sacrifice for it, and through that surely bring about change. And I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala count you all among the Sabiqun and shield you from all evil and light your way to Jannat al-Firdaus. Ameen. Subhanallah wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Jazakallahu khairan.
Jazakallah khair for that, Alef. Such powerful words and such a powerful message. And if there's anything that we take away from today, I hope that's what you take away. And inshallah, use these words to inspire those around you in your community groups, at your universities, your ISOCs, your MSAs. And I hope all of you have enjoyed today. I hope you've taken benefit from it. And I hope you remember that even though we haven't been able to see your faces today and we haven't been able to shake your hands and give you hugs, we care about you all, and we hope you have an amazing charity week. And if there's anything that you need at all, do let us know. Reach out to your national teams, reach out to us. You can get us on our website, on our Instagram, on email, if there's anything you ever need. And we are so excited to see you guys bring Charity Week to life, and so excited to see Charity Week going across the world. To our Pakistan team that have joined us today, we hope you have the best Charity Week ever, your first ever CW, and everyone else, we can't wait to see what you come up with. So thank you for joining, and inshallah we will hear from you guys very soon, and hope you guys have an amazing Charity Week. Assalamu alaikum.
I don't wanna wake up here. Someone help me carry this load. I don't wanna walk with fear no more. I will